We're here with Raynard Looch. Thank you, Raynard, for having us today. Just a few questions with regards to the topics that you covered in the presentation. The first of which, on the matter of the health and safety practitioners not being provided with statutory duties currently, what would be the benefits of such statutory duties being placed on health and safety providers or practitioners?
I think most importantly, if you provide safety practitioners with statutory duties, you'll find, because sometimes they have difficulties with employers, they become a nuisance. You must do this, you must do that, and the emphasis is often on production and so on. So obviously it'll give them more clout having a statutory duty, because if they don't comply with that duty, they're in trouble. And if the employer doesn't give them the resources to comply with those duties, they'll be in trouble. And you can look at the Mine Health and Safety Act, where you have provision for safety officers, as they're called. And they must be generally just competent people.
Do you foresee any challenges in this regard from an employer's perspective, where such duties may be imposed on health and safety practitioners or providers, but from an employer's perspective, where they maybe start kicking against such requirements, or that maybe the practitioners themselves may be alienated from providing services?
I doubt it, because if you look at the Mine Health and Safety Act, it's worked pretty well, and that's the 1996 sort of post-constitutional OHS legislation. I think most safety practitioners are actually, without statutory duties, performing some of the functions we would envisage them to have in terms of the statutes. It just means they will have more clout, I think, at the end of the day.
Thank you. What are the employers to do with regards to these inspector reports that are not being made available currently? So what are their options in taking action to maybe get involved in gaining these reports?
Well, they've resisted it, and sadly I didn't get to the slide that I wanted to, where a North Gauteng High Court judge said it's unlawful and unconstitutional not to provide interested parties with a copy of the report. And then, of course, you have the right to appeal any report which is an administrative action in terms of the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act. But how can you appeal something you don't know? And you saw the dilemma I posed when you get a summons, an employer, for example, from the NPA, and they hadn't seen the report before the summons is issued. So there's no provision to appeal, to make representations, and etc. And then to have a case withdrawn means a court appearance once the summons is issued.
So it's actually very difficult at this stage, and as you've mentioned, employers are resisting to actually want to get involved. What do you think would be their motivations to not get involved?
I think we've been too complacent outside the mines. I think the mines are pretty proactive in challenging things. The charter, for example, their safety stoppages. I didn't get to those slides either. I think we've been a bit too complacent, but I mean, listening today, the CEOs of certain companies are starting to come out and be a bit more proactive.
It brings me to my next question, and this is with regards to the concerns that exist with regards to the Occupational Health and Safety Amendment Bill. And again, the question is phrased pretty much the same way. How do we get more involved with regards to these concerns, some of which you've mentioned in your presentation, to have those amendments include the recommendations that, for example, that you've made?
So what we've done, they were published for comment, and not just to organizations such as SIOSH. And we formed a technical committee, and we made our comments and we sent them through. And it's entirely up to them whether they're going to, adhere to or take cognizance of what our concerns were. And we have a number of concerns. The draft bill is, in my view, totally irrational. It's badly drafted. And the unconstitutional elements that they said they would cure with the draft bill, they failed to cure. They just copied and pasted it basically over from the draft bill. So we're unhappy with it.
But it is encouraging to see the Department of Employment and Labour and SIOSH coming together at an event like this to discuss health and safety matters. So would you believe that there's still some scope or at least some room for improvement in this regard in the future?
Yes, I'm optimistic. I mean, the Department of Employment and Labour have always come out and always supported us. As you saw, the DG did come and present as well, the Chief Inspectors here. So we've had good cooperation, but I don't think it's entirely up to them when it comes to this type of legislation. I see some politicizing as well of OHS legislation, which is scary.
But with that being said, it does provide for an interesting future in the realm of health and safety for the next couple of years at least.
Yes, it does indeed. And I mean, I just heard this morning the Chief Inspector wants to sit down with me and maybe some other people, and we discuss the way forward. So it's encouraging. It's definitely encouraging.
So maybe a public debate, is that on the cards?
I'm ready for a public debate if they are.
It would be interesting to view.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for your time
Yeah.
today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.